Good morning and welcome to Veterans Heartbeat on the Pulse of the Veteran, where we discuss issues of health, happiness, opportunity, and well-being of interest to the veteran community, their families, and the community who honors them.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Veterans Heartbeat, brought to you by River, the Rural Institute for Veterans Education and Research. My name is Jason Zencraft. My co-host Ed Lasofsky is here with me, and he is the Executive Director of River. We welcome you to a weekly wide-ranging discussion of issues, events, opportunities, and needs in our veteran community. Morning, Ed. How you doing?
Morning, Jason.
We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Farside Signs. They create amazing-looking vehicle graphics that will drive traffic to your business. They are located at 1526 South Avenue West in Missoula. Follow them on the web, Instagram, and Facebook, or just stop on by.
Well, good morning. This morning I'm doing a little bit of a remote. I'm calling in from Emerald Lake, out by Seeley Lake, a development by a Marine Corps realtor in Missoula named Greg Hamilton. Man, it is gorgeous out here. If you have a need to buy on a lake, this is the place to go. Anyway, this morning I have Aaron Croto, and everybody knows Felipe or Fez, our Director of Education. And Aaron has been in our program for a couple of years. Then he got hired. He got laid off when we did the layoffs. But he's doing some amazing things. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, man. How you doing?
Good morning, Fez. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Don't tell me. Let me guess. You're sleeping in.
Of course.
You know, that's one thing veterans need is more sleep. Anyway, Aaron, you've been working with River for a couple of years now. Can you tell me what you've experienced in the program?
Yeah, the biggest thing is learning, social interaction is my biggest. Rehabilitation is what I've been learning. I have learned. I would say if I'm on vacation, my vacation consists usually of, or back in the past, of me locking myself in my home by myself and windows, everything closed, dark, and whatever makes me comfortable in my home. But that's one thing that through different programs, like through the different classes that we've been taking and we've done, is that it just gives me the, encouragement to go out and do social activities. And that's what then I was hired on through River as an outreach coordinator. So that was also, like a teaching and learning lesson on my part, whereas pretty much my job, I had to go out and, meet with other veterans. And that's what I've always locked myself away from is when I got back from war, I never really ever, if I knew someone was a vet, I would say, hey, how you doing, man? Cool. And that's it. I would not try to build a social relationship with them. But so that's pushed me now where I was, there was no funding for me to be on the boat or on as an employee with River. So I started my own organization, the Vision of River, or Operation Vision. And that's the biggest thing is, my treatment, what I use as treatment is there's not, it's not outpatient, it's nothing. It's my treatment program is working with other nonprofits and also doing community service acts and programs.
Fez, you've been involved with the program almost a year and a half now?
Yeah. Between my part-time work and my full-time work, it's about a year and a half.
We were lucky to get Fez. We pick on Fez quite a bit, don't we, Fez?
Oh, yeah. That's all right.
But
somebody needs to do it.
As an outreach coordinator, Aaron, what did you find was the most interesting part of trying to get into the veterans community? Because I know the VA is confused as to how to get these veterans out and active.
Probably the biggest thing is, like I said, just putting myself out in the community and finding ways of researching and also just us figuring out a way to, reach out to the vets. But I would say, I don't know, I think that's the main thing is when, like I said, on my treatment for myself, that's where I'd have to put myself out. I would go to, anywhere and everywhere. And you just randomly find vets wherever you go. It's just, kind of just acknowledging and knowing stylistic a person, usually, if that makes sense.
Fez, you and I had long talks about teaching the veterans how to deal with their buddies that are suicidal, haven't we?
Absolutely. Core of our school is to cater to that population.
The veterans world consists of the haves and have-nots. Would you guys agree with that?
I wouldn't necessarily say that the veterans community is full of the haves and have-nots. I think they're more about the veterans that are capable or willing to help themselves and those whom are expecting others to help them. And most organizations aren't going to go out of their way to help the veterans. They are going to provide services, and they're going to provide whatever resources they might have for those veterans that are actively looking for those resources, but they aren't necessarily just going to advertise it and make it readily available for those whom aren't necessarily looking for it.
Well, okay. When we've been working with the veterans, Fez, I know that you've always said you don't understand a suicidal veteran. And I get that. Aaron, I've trained you and the other outreach coordinators in handling veteran suicide. Have you encountered a lot of veterans that are suicidal?
Yeah, multiple. That's one of the main, actually the number one reason of me setting up this, my organization is that was the biggest reason is I've been working with this law firm or my family's been with this law firm since 1977. And then it was a random topic brought up of what I do when I was working on my family's, property and working on legal, whatever on our family stuff. And she said, you don't have, what you need. And that's where she, that was her board. And now we have set up is complete, legality coverage of, suicide. Because when we are working with suicide, even though, we still have the same thing with you, but when I was let go, we were still working with vets. And it's just, it's with suicidal veterans, and also just actual suicidal, community members. That's who we work. We work with anyone and everyone. Yeah, it's a touchy subject. It's touchy. Yeah, I've never ever once myself thought about suicide, but I understand. I don't know. It's really crazy. It's got to be it is the hardest thing, and that's what's with River is with you, Ed, is that you are there and that's your main goal and your main subject of what you are trying to fix, and it's an impossible mission to fix. But I don't know. And that's what attracted me to you, Ed, and her. Your mission is I can believe that you are actually doing this. That every organization beats around the bush around this subject. So,
have you seen that, Fez, that other organizations run from the suicide?
What do you mean by that?
I mean that they don't want to focus on that, or they don't want to work in that arena?
Definitely I've seen organizations shy away from it because they want to do it right, and they want to do it perfect, and because of that, they don't do anything. They fail because they don't even start. That's not a good use. Just because you're not the subject matter expert doesn't mean that you can't effectively improve this person's life by giving them other resources in which you may be able to get a hold of. And that's a shame. Everybody can be a resource. I mean, like you said yourself, I don't understand it, and I don't like it, and it's not who I am, but that doesn't mean that if a friend of mine calls and they need help, that I'm not going to give them the resources that I know are available to him or her.
Let me ask you, Fez, you've been with River for a year and a half. Has your attitude changed, and are you more comfortable dealing with somebody suicidal?
I don't think you're ever comfortable dealing with somebody that's that way, but I definitely understand the resources that are available to them a lot more. Still not at all sympathetic to the idea Now I know that there are resources more than a 1-800 phone line, that there's local resources, and there are people like you and that exist, and they can actually go to this person probably any day of the week. And that's a big difference. It's a tangible resource that I didn't know existed in the past, and now I do know that it exists. If I find myself in a situation like that, I know where to go instead of just giving them the 1-800, call these people.
Aaron, I've been on the phone with you a number of times. How scared do you get when you get a veteran that's suicidal on the phone now?
Yeah, the biggest thing is, like I said, in relation to Fez, is I understand now, and that's where with you of how your religious tactics towards working with suicidal patients or people or whatever. But now I'm able to, I don't know, I'm able to at least before it was always like I've never thought about, I thought of what would happen if, say, I died or I was, certain things, but now I'm able to work with it. It's the same, and I'm able to put it into a subject, like less than just a subject that I defer. I put it into the same thing as mental, it's mental disorder, and put it in with, I have family members. I myself, have my own mental instabilities. So I understand now, and I can relate it to, even though I've never been suicidal, I can relate it to, mental disabilities that I have or thoughts. So I'm able to work with them easier and better. I know that it's a call for help. It's hard to, it's such a hard subject to explain,
It's become not necessarily so accepted, but so in your face, it's almost like watching an infomercial. You know that the resources are there, but when you need them, it's just been made so prominent that you ignore it. So you don't really know. You remember watching a commercial and you remember seeing the faces, but you don't remember the number. You don't remember the person to call. You don't remember who's actually going to help. How much is too much and how little is too little, because you want to keep the person's attention and those that can help and those that are looking for help. You want to keep them engaged, but at the same time, if you do it too much, they become to it, and then you go in the wrong direction when it comes to help.
Fez, you and I and Jason and Dr. McCord attended a conference in New Zealand.
Yes, we did.
How important do you think that was for your teaching and working with the veterans in this population?
It was a great learning experience. How many academics, how much money other countries are spending in comparison to the U.S. towards researching. At the same time, I saw very little action, and that kind of places what that happens in the U.S. It's a lot of awareness, it's a lot of research, it's a lot of numbers and academics patting themselves on the back, but when it comes to truly helping, it doesn't appear to be as effective as they claim, which is sad. And that's a global problem, and that's really what I got out of that conference, is that it truly is a global problem. It doesn't care, like suicide doesn't care if you're white, black, or yellow. It doesn't care if you're born affluent or if you're born poor. It doesn't. It's absolutely. It spans across all races, all ethnicity, all colors, all creeds, all amount of money that you may have or may not have. That was kind of shocking to me.
Well, let's get on to a little bit of a different subject. The big thing that we presented, two big things that we presented in New Zealand, is, number one, suicide is not a mental health issue. It is a physical health issue. 53% of all veterans who are suffering from suicide or complete the act do so because of chronic pain or have that as one of their big issues. The other issue is, let's talk about the RT program. A lot of people have said that it's junk science, etc. Fez, you've been into it up close, teaching these veterans. You've had 100 go through your courses. What do you think?
I think that RT really is, if not for anything else, the basis of recovery. It teaches the person that's in crisis that they can do something physical that it may seem remedial, such as going for a walk or playing with their dogs or playing with their children, or something that's absolutely simple, yet they can get some true joy out of it and really change the outlook of their psychiatric outlook.
Okay, let's throw it to you, Aaron. You put a number of years in combat. You came back kind of messed up. One of the comments that I've heard over and over again is, we're not running a treatment program, we're running an education program. Now, the basis of River was to take education instead of treatment to help the vets. What's your thoughts, Aaron?
Thoughts are, well, in relation to what Fez was saying, I guess the biggest thing is, like, not just the recreational therapy program. It's the, being a part of something that we used to be a part of something, a part of a, group, and also getting me the hell out of the house, getting me out. And
well, I mean, was the education of value to you?
Yeah, and that's every one of them, the EMT, every EMS, you could label every one of the, 14 classes and programs I was a part of through River. And all of them, that's the biggest thing, is just getting me to do out of what I didn't want to do, but it was also appeased, and it was set up where I was able to do it and not, my funds that come from, I live in an area where, everything is a lot more expensive. It's like Hawaii or wherever else you live. So it also supplemented and was allowed for me to also have a secondary job, or have a job on top of, me taking classes. And
okay, the question is, and let's hone in on this one question: did you find value in the education that River provided?
Yes.
How so? Because I've heard a lot of people say, well, it's just treatment.
Yeah, well, that's where, like, on my part, me alone, that's me with, I have to, hone in on these other styles of people, other military, ex-military, and also, it's the learning experience of the class rather than, me being just ignorant towards, trying to treat myself. It pushed me to, learn these programs, and it's, of course, beneficial.
Aaron, you've been with River for a while now. Is there something you'd like to say to the audience that you didn't get to say?
Biggest thing is I don't allow myself to become a part of any organization or anything. I'm not saying I'm anti-patriotic, but I know most companies and everything uses patriotism as a way to sell their products, and that's where I was skeptical of when one of your students, got a hold of me. I was very skeptical. I showed up for the first meeting, the first gathering, the second meeting, and after the second one, Kendra and I both were, why not do this? It's not saying it was set up, of course, anyone of your stature, anyone of your style that has started something and they've never done it before, the beginning of a business always has its crutches, its, negatives, its positives. There's always something that is not, you can never start anything perfectly. But the concept that you started, and your mission is what attracted us. And Kendra, that's my partner, the mother of both my children, where what you started and what you guys were doing is what intrigued me to better myself in life, completely in life, Even if there's certain random things that just were not, you never do anything perfectly. No one can ever do anything perfectly, but we learn from it, we build, and we make things better. That's the thing.
Fez, when you took over the education department, how much improvement have you done?
I had to absolutely turn it around. I had to make it to where students are being held accountable every day of instruction, and they had to be held to a more regular standard. A lot of students wanted to use the excuse that they were a veteran and that they had PTSD and so on and so forth, but that doesn't excuse them from being a student. And that took a lot of training on my end to essentially retrain the students before my time that were being coddled and needed to become a regular student and be responsible and participate.
Exactly. That's my biggest thing I liked about when Fed took over too, is that, you are straight up structured, man. You're just straight up, and exactly. As a person being a veteran, they are not more special than anyone else. I think every person in the whole entire United States needs to somehow volunteer and do their part as an American citizen. I'm not saying every person needs to be part of the military, but they need to be a part of some program that benefits their community, their nation, everything. And that's what I liked about, when Fez took over, was your structure and how you pushed people. You didn't allow us to be, to use it as a crutch or a weakness. And that's what, like I said, relating to learning, building on, the corporation on, it's, always adding. Take the good, get rid of the weak, and get rid of the, negative.
That tells you some of what River has gone through, and now we have another organization that River birthed over in eastern Montana that had nothing. And today I really, really want to thank our producer, Nick, who has gone out of his way to make Veterans Heartbeat what it is today. So thank you, everybody, for listening.
So thank you very much for listening to Veterans Heartbeat. We'd not be able to bring it to you without all the support of the listeners. And thank you again to Farside Signs for sponsoring the show. If you do need a unique vehicle design, swing on by and check them out. Also, thank you to our main sponsor, River. River has an array of services such as veterans-focused education, a vestibular disorder clinic, and now non-pharmaceutical treatments for pain, anxiety, and depression. Check them out on Facebook or on the web at riverofchange.org. Lastly, we'd like to show our appreciation to all of our veterans. Thank you for serving our country and keeping it safe.